When you close your eyes at night, the world you know doesn't truly fall silent. Beneath the soil, in the cracks of pavement, inside tree roots and rotting wood, there is another world, ancient, hidden, and alive. It belongs to the ants. These tiny beings, so small that one can fit on your fingertip, have shaped forests, rivers, and even the air we breathe without ever asking for recognition. Tonight, let us drift slowly into their universe, not with rush or analysis, but with wonder, softly unfolding how their lives touch ours in ways we rarely notice. The first tiny footsteps in the soil. Imagine the very first ant stepping onto the soft surface of the earth. Its body is light, its movement almost silent, yet in that tiny step lies a story older than most civilizations. The soil beneath responds in small tremors as its claws grip the grains of sand. For us, it may seem invisible, but in that world, each step carries weight, a mark of presence that other ants will one day follow. A single footfall becomes the start of a trail that may last for hours or for centuries, etched in the language of scent. Every ant walking the soil is not just moving, it is mapping. As it wanders, it leaves behind faint chemical signals, invisible to us but glowing like streetlights to another ant. This first footstep is never truly alone. It holds the memory of direction, the promise of food, the warning of danger. If you kneel close enough to the ground, you might almost sense the rhythm of their marching, as if the earth itself is gently breathing with them. That is the poetry of their footsteps, a quiet conversation written in dust and molecules. What makes these footsteps different from ours is scale. A step for us is a meter, a step for them is a universe. They explore grass blades like skyscrapers and raindrops like lakes. Their journeys turn pebbles into mountains and cracks into canyons. And yet, despite this strange sense of proportion, they do not stumble or hesitate. Each movement is purposeful, a part of something greater, as if guided by a map older than time itself. That map, invisible to us, lies hidden in their bodies, in chemical codes older than language. When we think of footsteps, we imagine sound, crunching leaves, heavy boots, the echo of distance. But ants walk in silence. Their footsteps do not call attention, they whisper. They are unnoticed to us, but profoundly known to the soil, to the plants, to the tiny microorganisms that feel their pressure. It is as though ants move in harmony with nature's heartbeat. Their steps blend, never disturbing, never breaking the rhythm. It is the kind of silence that carries meaning without ever needing a voice. And so, with those first small footsteps, a world is awakened. A single ant walking is not just walking, it is connecting. It is joining its life to the roots, to the seeds, to the moisture underground. In ways we barely grasp, those steps ripple outward, feeding forests, aerating soil, creating passageways for life unseen. Tonight, as you rest, picture them not as invaders of your garden, but as caretakers, endlessly tracing lines that keep the earth alive. That first footstep is still echoing, somewhere in the dark soil beneath your home. How a single scent becomes a language. If ants could speak with voices, their colonies would roar like cities. Instead, they carry a secret language, one made not of words but of scents. A single chemical dropped on the ground by a passing ant can tell 1,000 stories. Food is this way. Danger is near. Follow me. This language doesn't need grammar or letters, only molecules that fade and renew. And what is astonishing is how precise it can be. One whiff, and an ant knows not just direction, but urgency, whether to hurry, to fight, or to gather gently. When a worker ant discovers food, it does not shout or wave, it paints. With each returning step, it lays down an invisible trail of pheromones, a pathway only its sisters can read. The strength of the scent tells them how rich the food is, how far they must go. To us, it looks like ants moving randomly until they all seem to know the way, but in truth they are reading a language as clear as signs on a highway. Imagine a world where smell alone directs traffic, yet never causes a collision. These scents are not just about food. They can mark borders, summon help, or warn of enemies. A tiny drop left near the nest entrance says, "This space is ours." Another faint signal might say, "Carry the young deeper." Even aggression has a smell. Ants can flood their enemies with chemical fear, forcing them to retreat without ever raising a claw. We may think of language as sound, but for ants, language is chemistry, carried on the air, soaking into the ground, remembered by each antenna that brushes the soil. What makes this more extraordinary is the memory it creates. A trail may fade in minutes, but during that time, hundreds or thousands of ants can read it, follow it, and reinforce it with their own signals. It is as if sentences are constantly being rewritten by a living hand, never static, always alive. Ants trust this language more than sight or sound. Their world is not one of pictures, it is one of invisible words drifting on the air, guiding them like stars unseen to us but burning bright to them. This chemical poetry reminds us that communication is not only what we hear. The universe is filled with hidden languages, scents between flowers and bees, vibrations between whales, even silent signals in our own bodies. Ants simply make it visible in their own way. Tonight, think of how a single scent, so small we cannot detect it, can move armies, build bridges, and feed entire colonies. It is proof that silence does not mean absence, and that sometimes the most powerful words are the ones we never hear. The endless trail that never forgets. Every time you see ants marching in a perfect line across the ground, you are witnessing memory itself. That trail is not random, it is history. It remembers where food was found yesterday, where danger was met last week, where the nest has been safe for years. Ant trails are libraries of scent constantly refreshed by the tiny bodies that walk them. Each ant adds its note, reinforcing the line, making sure it stays alive. Without voices, without maps, they carry the past under their feet, ensuring the future will not be lost. The trail works like a bloodstream. It is always pulsing, always renewed. Ants traveling out leave the scent, ants returning add to it, and soon the trail becomes a glowing highway in their invisible world. If food is gone, the trail slowly fades, like a memory forgotten. If danger arrives, the trail splits, as if offering choices, alternate paths. What amazes scientists is how these trails mimic human roads, railways, even data networks, and yet no central planner exists. The map is written by the collective step by step, scent by scent. What gives these trails strength is not perfection, but persistence. An ant does not always follow the line exactly. It wavers, checks, and returns. This weaving strengthens the scent, thickens the memory, makes it harder to erase. It is a gentle reminder that even in human life, memory is not sharp and flawless. It is woven from repeated experiences, reinforced through retelling. Ants, without knowing, show us that forgetting is natural, and remembering is an act of repetition, a collective agreement to keep a story alive. Sometimes these trails stretch for hundreds of meters, carrying thousands of ants along their invisible highways. To us, it looks like chaos, black dots crawling endlessly, but to them it is order, direction, harmony. No traffic jams, no honking horns, no collisions. Each ant knows its role, reads its signals, and trusts the path laid before it. In those lines, we see what cooperation looks like when egos are absent. 1,000,000 feet walking as one, guided by faith in a trail too faint for our senses. And perhaps the most haunting thought is this: when rain falls, when storms wash the earth clean, the trail is erased. Yet ants begin again, laying down new lines, repeating their history, writing their paths once more. They never despair at the loss of memory, they simply rebuild. That is the quiet strength of their endless trail. It never truly forgets because it can always be written again, as long as one ant dares to take the first step into the soil. The quiet rhythm of shared food. Inside the colony, food is never private. What one ant finds, the entire nest will share. This sharing happens not by passing crumbs in their jaws, but through a process called trophallaxis, the exchange of liquid food mouth to mouth. It may look like a kiss, soft and delicate, but it is survival. In these moments, ants create not just a meal, but a bond. Each transfer carries nutrients and chemical information, strengthening the colony as if it were a single, living body instead of thousands of individuals. The act is almost musical. One ant approaches another, antennae touch, mouths meet, and the liquid flows. Then it continues, passed to another and another, until hundreds are nourished by a single discovery. Scientists once thought ants were mere instinct-driven machines, but this ritual shows something gentler: care, patience, a willingness to give. Even the smallest worker, who has no hope of becoming queen, offers her find to others without hesitation. It is a rhythm of trust, a circulation of life that keeps the colony whole. What is more astonishing is that food shared this way carries information. The taste and scent of the liquid can tell ants what kind of food it is, where it was found, and whether it is safe. It is not just calories, it is memory, passed mouth to mouth like whispered secrets. In this way, ants can teach others about new food sources without leading them physically. Knowledge flows like nourishment, entwining survival with communication in a way few species can match. This rhythm is so natural to ants that they never question it. Hunger is not theirs alone, it belongs to the colony. An ant that eats too much without sharing becomes chemically strange and is quickly corrected by others. Balance is enforced, but gently, through constant exchange. In their quiet way, ants show us that selfishness cannot exist where life depends on unity. It is a lesson written not in philosophy, but in the soft meeting of tiny mouths in the dark chambers below the earth. And so, when you watch ants carry a crumb across your kitchen floor, remember that crumb is not just for one. It will be dissolved, shared, multiplied, turned into a song of nourishment echoing through the nest. The quiet rhythm of shared food is not a mechanical act. It is a living heartbeat, pulsing from one ant to another, binding them into something greater than themselves. When the colony breathes as one body, a colony of ants is not a crowd. It is a single organism stretched across thousands of bodies. Each ant is like a cell, moving with purpose, knowing its place, responding to signals without hesitation. When one ant is injured, others rush to help. When one discovers food, thousands benefit. When one signals danger, the entire nest reacts. It is as if the colony inhales and exhales together, breathing in the rhythm of survival, functioning not as individuals, but as a single, vast being. What makes this illusion real is coordination. No ant commands, yet none act alone. The queen does not order, she only lays eggs. The workers decide together, through chemical votes and trails, where to move, when to forage, when to fight. Their decisions are not debates, but flows, tiny actions multiplied into great outcomes. It is a reminder that intelligence can exist without central control, that wisdom can emerge not from one voice, but from the chorus of many acting in harmony. The colony's breath can even be measured. Oxygen levels rise and fall as ants collectively rest, then surge as they awaken to forage. Scientists who tracked these rhythms found waves, slow, steady pulses of life sweeping through the nest like a heartbeat. It is not random. It is synchronization born from countless small bodies aligning unknowingly into one vast pattern. The colony becomes a chest, rising and falling, unseen beneath the soil, exhaling its presence into the world above. This unity allows ants to achieve feats that seem impossible. They can build bridges, clear forests, wage wars, or grow crops, all without a blueprint, without leaders. Each ant only knows a fragment, but together they act as one. Watching them is like watching a miracle unfold slowly, a miracle so common we forget to notice it. And yet when you pause, it feels almost holy, the sight of thousands acting not in chaos, but in pure connection, woven together by invisible threads. And so the colony breathes, not as a metaphor, but as a reality. Every action, every signal, every mouthful of food, every shared trail is part of one great exhalation. A colony is not just ants, it is life condensed into unity. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, remember that harmony can be found even in the smallest of beings, in the quiet, collective breath of ants beneath the ground, carrying on with their timeless work, unseen yet always present. The hidden heart of the underground city. Beneath your feet lies a labyrinth older than your house, built without tools, without plans, without blueprints. Ant colonies carve chambers in the earth, some shallow, some so deep they touch the roots of trees. To us it is dirt and clay, but to them it is architecture. These chambers hold nurseries, storage rooms, resting spaces, even ventilation shafts. The soil is moved grain by grain, yet the design is grand enough to rival human cities. In those tunnels there is order, warmth, and a sense of shelter that the surface can never offer. Each chamber is crafted for purpose. Some are polished smooth to cradle eggs, others left rough to store food. Passageways twist like veins, carrying life from chamber to chamber. The nest breathes through hidden chimneys designed without knowing, yet perfect for airflow. On hot days, the colony stays cool. On wet days, the chambers stay dry. When storms rage, the underground city is a fortress, protecting lives too fragile for the chaos above. The heart of this city beats quietly, not in stone or steel, but in the soft movements of countless tiny builders. Imagine walking through this city as an ant. You would enter a tunnel glowing with the faint scent of your sisters. Walls of soil rise higher than buildings, yet you feel no fear, only belonging. Antennae guide you through darkness, each curve familiar, each chamber alive with purpose. Around you, young are fed, food is stored, signals are exchanged. The city feels endless, yet every path eventually leads back to the heart, the queen, the one who anchors this living structure with her presence. It is a city, yes, but also a body. The hidden city grows with the colony. As more ants are born, new chambers are dug, new passages carved. It is never finished, never still. Constant activity reshapes the earth until the colony becomes a living organism in itself, expanding, repairing, adapting. If a tunnel collapses, it is rebuilt within hours. If danger arrives, barricades are made instantly. No ant commands this. It emerges like breath, like instinct. In their silent labor, ants teach us that creation can come from patience, from repetition, from countless small efforts instead of sudden grand gestures. And so, while we walk on sidewalks and sleep in houses, below us lies a different kind of civilization, silent, unseen, yet endlessly alive. It has no rulers, no architects, yet it works flawlessly. The hidden heart of the underground city is not in its tunnels or chambers, but in its rhythm, the way every ant knows without thinking exactly where it belongs. It is a reminder that beauty does not always stand tall above the ground. Sometimes it hides in darkness, thriving quietly beneath our very steps. Queens who outlived generations of workers. At the very center of the colony lies a being unlike the rest, the queen. Her body is larger, her lifespan far longer. While workers may live only weeks or months, the queen can survive for decades. She is the beating core of continuity, laying thousands of eggs, ensuring the colony never ends. Around her, workers tend with devotion, feeding her, cleaning her, protecting her. Yet she does not rule like a monarch with orders. Her gift is life itself. Her role is to produce, to endure, to remain while countless others come and go. The queen's longevity feels almost mythical. Imagine a creature so small, living longer than a dog, sometimes longer than a horse. In her chambers, she remains steady, even as worker generations are born, work, and vanish. She remembers not by thought, but by continuity. Her body holds the story of the colony, her eggs carrying its future. Without her, the nest withers. With her, it thrives. This cycle turns her into something larger than herself, a bridge between past and future, embodied in one still, patient being beneath the earth. Her life begins in flight. As a young princess, she once soared with wings, joined a swarm, mated high in the air. Then, wings discarded, she dug into the soil to begin anew. That first chamber became her throne, not of luxury, but of devotion. There she laid her first eggs, feeding the earliest workers with her own stored energy, giving until they could take over. From that moment, her role never changed. She became mother to millions she would never meet, her body transforming the earth into a living empire. What fascinates scientists is her resilience. Queens have been known to live up to 30 years in certain species, longer than most wild mammals of similar size. Their bodies resist decay, their cycles endure. They are not immortal, yet their patience with time is unmatched among insects. Generations of workers will rise and vanish around her, but she will remain. It is as if the colony bows not to her orders, but to her longevity, her unbroken thread of presence that ties everything together in silence and steadiness. And so, when you see a trail of ants carrying crumbs, remember their unseen mother. She rests deep underground, unseen, unknown, yet her influence ripples through every action. Her life is a story of endurance, not in glory or spectacle, but in quiet continuation. Queens outlive not because they fight or command, but because they persist, anchored in patience, carrying the lifeline of a world we rarely notice, yet one that thrives in her hidden presence. Wings that carry futures into the sky. On warm days after rain, the earth suddenly awakens. From holes in the ground, winged ants emerge by the thousands, filling the sky with fragile bodies shimmering in sunlight. These are the alats, princes and princesses of the colony, born to fly, to mate, to begin new worlds. Their flight is brief, yet it is the moment the colony reaches outward, scattering seeds of life into the open air. To us it may look like swarms, annoying or strange, but to ants it is destiny, a migration of futures into the sky. The spectacle is called a nuptial flight. Males and females take off together, rising into the air, drawn by ancient timing, often synchronized across miles. In that dance, mating occurs, brief, yet eternal in purpose. The males soon perish, their role fulfilled in a single act. The females, now queens in waiting, descend to earth, break off their wings and seek soil to begin anew. From that small sacrifice, entire colonies will one day grow, armies, cities, civilizations, all born from a flight lasting only hours. The wings themselves are delicate, fragile like paper, yet powerful enough to lift these small bodies high. For the princess ants, wings are temporary, tools for destiny, meant to be discarded once they find the soil. Their lives change in an instant, from airy wanderers to grounded mothers. The act of losing wings is symbolic, a shedding of freedom for responsibility, of sky for earth. What once carried them aloft now lies in the dirt, forgotten, as they begin digging chambers that will one day house millions. Humans often notice these flights when swarms gather near lights or cover the air after summer storms. It feels sudden, almost chaotic, but it is deeply precise. Colonies wait for the right humidity, the right warmth, the right season. It is nature's clockwork, timed so that young queens land on moist soil ready for digging. And across forests, fields, and cities, countless colonies synchronize, ensuring survival through sheer abundance. For every queen that fails, another succeeds, carrying the story forward. So the next time you see a swarm of flying ants, pause before brushing them away. What you are witnessing is not nuisance, but birth. You are watching generations rise into the air, wings carrying futures across landscapes, ensuring that the hidden world beneath us never disappears. These wings are fragile, but the futures they carry are stronger than stone, rooted in patience, carried on the wind. The gentle birth of a new colony. When a new queen lands after her flight, she begins alone. There are no workers, no helpers, no food stores. She digs into the soil with her jaws, carving out a tiny chamber, sealing herself inside. In that dark silence, she lays her first eggs, nourishing them with the energy stored in her own body. She does not eat, she only gives. For weeks, she is both mother and provider, shrinking as her strength is consumed until the first workers hatch. Only then does her colony truly begin to breathe. This first stage is fragile. Many queens never succeed. Drought, predators, or weakness end their efforts. But for those who endure, the moment their first workers emerge is like dawn. These daughters immediately take over care. They forage, dig, feed the queen, and expand the nest. The queen, now free from labor, devotes herself to laying eggs. From that point on, she will not leave the nest again. Her world becomes the chamber, and her role, endless creation. What began as one ant in the soil becomes a growing city beneath the earth. The first workers are often small, called nanetics, born from limited resources. They are fragile, short-lived, yet vital. They build the foundation, paving the way for stronger workers in future generations. Each act they perform, digging, feeding, defending, is multiplied by those who follow. In a matter of months, the small chamber becomes a bustling nest, and the queen, who once dug alone, is now surrounded by hundreds of children. Her sacrifice in those early weeks ensures survival, turning fragility into resilience. From this fragile birth grows resilience. As more workers emerge, tasks divide. Some forage, some guard, some tend the young. The nest expands, chambers multiply, food flows in. The queen, once weak, is now nourished constantly, her body swelling with the rhythm of egg-laying. Each new generation strengthens the colony until it becomes a force, capable of withstanding storms, predators, and competition. The gentle birth of a colony transforms into a rising empire, rooted in the patience of one queen who dared to endure alone. And so the cycle continues. Every colony you see began with one moment, a queen, wings discarded, body trembling, digging into soil and choosing to give. It is a fragile story, yet one that repeats endlessly across the world. The gentle birth of a colony is not a spectacle, but a quiet miracle happening beneath our feet, hidden in silence, yet shaping the life of forests, fields, and even our own gardens. Ant eggs cared for like treasure. In the depths of the nest, the queen's eggs are not left scattered. They are gathered, cleaned, and cradled like treasure. Workers carry them gently in their jaws, never harming them, only moving them from chamber to chamber as conditions change. Too dry? They are shifted deeper. Too damp? They are brought closer to air shafts. The colony's survival depends on these tiny white pearls, and every worker knows their importance. They may look fragile, smaller than grains of rice, but within each lies a future worker, soldier or queen, waiting to awaken. The eggs are not just protected, they are polished. Workers lick them constantly, coating them in antibacterial secretions, guarding against fungi and parasites. They arrange them in neat piles, ensuring none are lost. If danger arrives, eggs are the first to be carried to safety, often held tighter than food. To ants, the colony's treasure is not gold or stone, it is life itself, wrapped in fragile shells. The devotion shown to these eggs feels almost reverent, a ritual of care repeated countless times, every day, every hour, without fail. What fascinates scientists is how coordinated this care is. No orders are given, no schedules drawn. Yet workers know when to move eggs, when to clean them, when to separate them into groups. It is as though the colony has one mind, one caretaker spirit expressed through many bodies. This care is not maternal in the human sense. Most workers will never reproduce. It is devotion without self-benefit, a pure act of service for the continuation of the whole. It shows us how survival can be built upon selflessness. The eggs themselves hold mysteries. Some will become workers, some soldiers, some queens. This destiny depends not on the egg itself, but on how it is raised, what it is fed, how it is cared for. The colony decides, shaping the future with nourishment and treatment. In this way, the care of eggs is not just protection, it is decision-making, a form of unseen governance where the next generation is molded before it even hatches. It is power hidden in silence, in the hands of tiny caretakers below the soil. And so when we look at an ant nest, we see only the surface, trails, foragers, guards. But deep below, the true treasure lies in small, white pearls tended with devotion. Ant eggs are the beginning of everything, the seeds of colonies that may one day reshape forests and fields. The way they are cared for tells us something profound, that even the smallest life, when valued deeply, can become the foundation of an entire world. Larvae cradled in darkness. When the eggs hatch, the colony welcomes a new form. Larvae, soft and pale, curled like tiny commas in the soil. They cannot move on their own, cannot feed themselves. Yet in their helplessness, they are treasured. Workers carry them gently, shifting them between chambers to match the right warmth and humidity. They are fed mouth to mouth, sometimes with liquid food, sometimes with tiny pieces of prey chewed soft. In darkness they grow, hidden from the world, nourished by countless unseen hands that never rest, never stop giving. These larvae are not silent. Though they have no voices, their needs are known. They emit faint chemical signals, and the workers respond instantly, offering food, moving them, cleaning them. It is as if the nest breathes around them, adjusting itself to every need. To watch it closely is to see devotion without hesitation. These young are not individuals, they are the colony's promise, and every worker, no matter how busy, pauses when a larva cries in chemical whispers. The larvae are endlessly tended. Workers lick them clean, protecting them from fungi and parasites. They are placed in piles, arranged carefully, like precious stones stored in a vault. When danger threatens, they are the first to be carried away, clutched in the jaws of running workers. They are not only the future, they are the present heartbeat of the colony, demanding care, commanding attention, shaping the very rhythm of labor underground. And the colony obeys without question, without pause. In time the larvae shed their skins, molting as they grow. Each stage is supported by the workers who feed and protect until the young are ready for the next transformation. It is a cycle so smooth, so unbroken, that the colony never falters. The larvae never truly know struggle. Their helplessness is answered with care, their weakness turned into strength through collective devotion. It is as though the darkness of the soil becomes a womb, holding them safe until they are ready to rise into another form. And so, in the hidden chambers, life unfolds slowly. Ant larvae are not creatures of spectacle, yet they embody the colony's quiet miracle, that the weakest are carried, cherished, and raised until they can walk on their own. Every adult ant you see once lay in darkness, helpless, guarded by countless sisters who believed their survival mattered. That unseen cradle of larvae is the silent foundation of every march you see above ground. Pupae resting between two worlds. After days of feeding, the larvae stop moving. They curl into stillness, their bodies wrapped, their growth paused. This is the pupal stage, the moment between what they were and what they will become. Inside the pupal casing, a transformation unfolds, invisible but profound. Organs shift, muscles form, wings sprout if destiny calls. The colony waits patiently. Workers clean the pupae, guard them, and move them as needed. To us, they look like fragile grains, unmoving, lifeless. But inside, futures are stirring, quiet revolutions hidden in silence. The pupal stage is delicate. Some species cover their pupae in silky cocoons, spun by the larvae themselves before transformation begins. Others leave them bare, exposed, yet protected by endless care. In either form, the workers treat them with reverence. They are neither young nor adult, souls caught between two worlds. It is patience embodied, a pause in the rush of life, a reminder that becoming often requires stillness, and that growth is not always visible to the eye. Workers hover over them constantly. They lick the pupae, protecting them from mold. They rotate them gently, ensuring they develop evenly. They carry them to warmer chambers during cool nights, to cooler chambers during hot days. Their devotion does not waver, even though the pupae give nothing in return. It is an act of faith that inside those husks lies a future worker, soldier or queen, who will one day join the colony's endless rhythm. In silence, the pupae are believed in, trusted, cared for, without condition. The transformation within is astonishing. Muscles harden, jaws sharpen, eyes form. From helpless worm-like bodies emerge creatures capable of marching, carrying, defending. It is as if one being has died and another has been born inside the same shell. The colony never doubts this process. To them, it is natural, as certain as sunrise. What is hidden will one day reveal itself, and until then, patience is the only answer. In this, ants remind us that change is often unseen before it becomes undeniable. And when the pupae finally split, the young adults emerge, pale and soft, still fragile. Workers rush to clean them, to harden their bodies, to fold them into the life of the colony. The pupal husks are carried away, and the new generation begins their labor. The resting stage ends, and the cycle continues as it has for millions of years. Pupae remind us that even in stillness, life is never idle. It is preparing for transformation, waiting for the right moment to step forward. Workers who never truly sleep. Unlike us, ants do not have long stretches of sleep. They rest in fragments, short pauses scattered through the day and night. A worker may stop, curl briefly, and then rise again minutes later. This rhythm allows the colony to stay awake always, never vulnerable, never unguarded. Sleep is not absent. It is distributed, shared, woven into the colony's pulse. In this way, ants mirror the stars above us, always some shining, always some resting. Yet the night sky never truly darkens. Each worker sleeps for seconds to minutes, dozens of times each day. These micro-rests are enough to sustain them, enough to keep their bodies moving. There are no dreams, no long escapes, just brief stillness, then return. This way, the colony never collapses into slumber. At any moment, some are foraging, some are guarding, some are caring for young. The nest never pauses, its heartbeat continues without silence. The workers, though small, embody endurance we can barely imagine, living with constant motion and shared vigilance. The queen rests differently, her cycles are longer, slower, yet her body requires it for her endless egg-laying. But the workers live by fragments, their lives are short, but filled with activity. Even in rest they remain alert, antennae twitching, ready to rise. It is rest without surrender, sleep without forgetting the world around them. They are not built for comfort, they are built for continuity. And in their fragmented sleep, the colony itself becomes immortal, never allowing vulnerability to strike all at once. This rhythm is like waves. One group rests while another rises. Together they form an endless tide of activity. Scientists call this polyphasic sleep, but to the ants, it is simply life. They do not complain, do not long for uninterrupted rest. Their survival depends on this pattern, and so they embody it with ease. It is a reminder that balance can take many forms, that rest does not always mean long silence, but sometimes small breaths scattered through the day. And so, when you see ants endlessly moving, carrying burdens many times their weight, know that they, too, rest, just not as we do. Their lives are woven with fragments of stillness, enough to sustain, never enough to pause the colony. Workers who never truly sleep remind us that life can endure through rhythms unfamiliar to us, rhythms shaped not for comfort, but for survival, for the continuation of something greater than the self, the soft touch of antennae greetings. When two ants meet, they do not speak, they do not wave, they touch antennae. This simple act carries a flood of information: who they are, where they come from, what they carry, whether they belong. The antennae are not just feelers, they are their voices, their hands, their senses combined. A brief touch is a greeting, an exchange of scent, a recognition of kin. To us, it may look like a pause, a moment of stillness, but in truth, it is dialogue, as rich as any spoken conversation we could imagine. The touch is precise. Antennae are covered with receptors able to detect the faintest chemical signals. One brush can reveal if another ant has food, if it has been in danger, or if it comes from a rival colony. It is an exchange of invisible words, read instantly, understood without question. Through these touches, harmony is kept, confusion avoided, cooperation strengthened. No ant is a stranger after an antennal greeting. The colony becomes one through these countless silent conversations scattered across the day. Antennae also guide. When workers are lost or uncertain, they follow the gentle touch of another, reassured, redirected. It is not dominance, not command, but guidance through connection. Each antenna-to-antenna moment strengthens bonds, weaving the colony into something larger than individuals. They may seem small, but in that touch lies trust, unity, and memory. The colony's very structure depends on these constant reassurances, quiet affirmations exchanged in silence, felt rather than heard. Even aggression is revealed in these greetings. A rival ant's scent is sharp, unfamiliar, triggering defense. Soldiers react instantly, not through sight or sound, but through the story told by those invisible chemicals. In this way, antennal greetings are also border checks, security measures, constant affirmations of belonging. Without them, chaos would reign. With them, unity endures. They are the invisible glue, holding millions together without confusion, without error. And so when you see ants pause and touch, remember that you are witnessing conversation, Not idle chatter, but vital exchanges as rich as any human greeting. A handshake, a hug, a whispered hello, all condensed into a brief brush of antennae. In those touches lies recognition, trust, and survival itself. It is a reminder that even in silence, even without voices, communication can flourish, binding lives together through gestures too small for us to hear. Guardians standing at invisible gates. At the entrance of the colony, certain ants stand watch. They do not forage, do not wander far. Their duty is simple yet vital, to guard. These guardians test every ant that passes, greeting them with antennae, checking their scent. Friends are allowed in, strangers are challenged, enemies are repelled. The gates of the colony are invisible yet fiercely defended. Without these guardians, intruders would slip inside, stealing food, harming the queen, or spreading disease. With them, the nest remained safe, its secrets hidden beneath loyal watch. The guardians are often larger, their bodies built for defense. Their jaws are stronger, their patience longer. They do not rush, they wait. Hours may pass with no threat, yet they remain still, alert, antennas twitching. To us it may look uneventful, even dull, but to them it is sacred duty. Their stillness is strength, their patience protection. They are the quiet soldiers of the nest, standing not in glory, but in vigilance, ready to give their lives if danger comes near. Intruders are not always obvious. Sometimes they are ants from rival colonies, carrying a different scent. Sometimes they are parasites disguised, trying to sneak past unnoticed. The guardians detect these with uncanny precision, recognizing even the faintest chemical difference. In an instant they can summon soldiers, flooding the entrance with defenders. This vigilance ensures that the nest remains a fortress, its chambers safe for the queen, the young, the food, the countless lives inside. Every colony, no matter how small, has its guardians at the gates. Their work extends beyond defense. Guardians also regulate traffic, ensuring foragers do not crowd the tunnels. That flow remains smooth. They are managers of rhythm, not just protectors. With small touches and subtle signals, they keep order at the threshold, balancing the stream of ants that come and go. Their role is unseen, but it prevents chaos, ensures harmony, and allows the colony to breathe freely without collapse at its entrance. They are both guards and gatekeepers, caretakers of the nest's fragile doorway. And so when you see ants clustered near a hole in the ground, know that you are looking at guardians. They are not idle. They are vigilant, patient, endlessly present. They remind us that strength is not always in action, but in stillness, in waiting, in protecting what matters most. The invisible gates of the colony are held firm not by walls, but by loyalty, by duty, by the unshakable watch of ants who guard their world in silence. Soldiers built for a single purpose. Not all ants look alike. Among the workers, there are giants, soldiers, their heads larger, their jaws stronger. They are not built for digging or feeding the young. They are built for one role, defense. Their bodies are heavy, their movements slower, but their presence at the colony's edges brings security. Soldiers stand ready at narrow tunnels, blocking intruders with their bulk. To us, it may seem like over-preparation for such tiny beings. Yet for ants, having casts shaped for survival ensures that no threat ever goes unanswered, no invasion unchallenged, no weakness left unguarded. Soldiers may look fierce, but their lives are filled with patience. Most of the time they wait. They stand at chamber entrances, silent, unmoving like statues carved of living flesh. And when danger finally comes, their jaws snap with astonishing speed. They bite, they hold, they repel. They are guardians of the queen, of the young, of the colony's treasure chambers. Their jaws may not feed them, but they defend others. In that narrow role lies meaning, a sacrifice of versatility for strength, a life narrowed to one task, but one that holds the colony together. Some soldiers go further, using their bodies as living shields. Certain species have soldiers whose heads are flat, shaped like plugs. They block tunnels with their own faces, preventing entry. Nothing passes unless they allow it. Imagine dedicating your body to becoming a door, a barrier, a living wall. For them, it is not strange, it is natural. The colony is safer for their shape, for their willingness to stand in silence, sealing passageways with nothing but their presence. Their lives remind us that even stillness can be power when given a purpose. Even in war, soldiers do not fight alone. They coordinate, following chemical signals, forming lines, charging as one. They may be few in number, but their strength is multiplied by the trust of the workers behind them. When soldiers hold the line, workers rescue eggs, move food, protect the queen. The colony breathes easier, knowing its shields will not falter. It is a cooperation built not on glory, but on faith, an unspoken pact between strength and service, between those who guard and those who labor. So when you see ants larger than the rest, know that they are not accidents of nature. They are designed, shaped by evolution, for a single purpose: to protect. Soldiers live not for themselves, but for the whole. Their bodies remind us that even in the smallest lives, there can be sacrifice, duty, and strength that never seeks reward. They are the silent defenders of worlds hidden beneath the soil, builders sculpting earth into chambers. If soldiers guard, workers build. With jaws far weaker than human tools, ants move mountains one grain at a time. They dig tunnels, carve chambers, raise walls. Over days and months, their nest expands, becoming a vast underground palace. Builders sculpt earth with astonishing precision, shaping chambers for eggs, nurseries for larvae, vaults for seeds, even ventilation shafts for air. Each movement is small, each effort humble, yet together they create architecture that rivals our own. No sketches, no architects, just instinct, cooperation, and the endless patience of tiny jaws working in silence. Ants dig not randomly, but with rhythm. Their tunnels are curved to resist collapse, their chambers rounded to distribute weight. They carry soil particles out of the nest, depositing them far away so predators cannot trace the entrance. Each grain is moved with care, each tunnel carved with foresight. Over time, the nest becomes a city beneath the earth, designed for safety, airflow, and comfort. And though no ant sees the whole structure, each one contributes without hesitation, building not for itself, but for the unseen colony it belongs to. The builders work without fatigue. Hour after hour, they carry soil in their jaws, bodies brushing against one another in the tunnels. Some carve deeper, others smooth walls, others ferry dirt outside. The nest is never still, always changing, always expanding. Even when chambers collapse, they are rebuilt within hours. The colony adapts, shifting, repairing, sculpting the earth into a structure both fragile and eternal. Their persistence shows us that construction is not about speed. It is about endurance, about trust in countless small efforts that add up to greatness. Some nests stretch for meters underground, with thousands of interconnected chambers. Others rise above ground in towering mounds, packed with soil so strong it resists storms. Leafcutter ants build fungal gardens, shaping chambers for cultivation. Army ants create temporary nests from their own bodies, clinging together until the march continues. Every species sculpts differently, but all share the same truth. The earth itself is their canvas, and they are its sculptors, endlessly shaping it for life to thrive in darkness. And so when you see small piles of dirt near a crack in the pavement, know that it is not just waste, it is architecture. It is the result of builders sculpting earth into homes, one grain at a time. Their patience reminds us that creation does not require grandeur. Sometimes it comes from countless tiny acts repeated endlessly, building something far larger than the hands that shaped it. Farmers who raise their own crops. Not all ants hunt or scavenge. Some farm. Leafcutter ants, among the most remarkable farmers on Earth, do not eat the leaves they cut. Instead, they carry them underground, where they use them to cultivate fungus. This fungus is their true food, grown carefully, tended daily, protected from pests. The ants cut leaves with precision, forming fragments that fit the fungal gardens perfectly. In this way, they become farmers, not consumers, nurturing crops that would not survive without them, shaping an agricultural system long before humans discovered farming. Inside the nest, the gardens glow with life. Workers chew leaves into pulp, feeding the fungus. Others clean the chambers, removing waste and protecting against molds. Smaller ants patrol the gardens, defending them against invading pests. Every caste has a role, every step is coordinated. The colony survives not through random chance, but through careful cultivation. Each bite of fungus is the result of endless labor, cooperation, and devotion. It is a system so efficient that it has lasted for millions of years, a quiet parallel to our own fields and farms. What makes this more extraordinary is the mutual dependence. The fungus cannot survive without the ants, and the ants cannot survive without the fungus. Together they form a partnership older than most species we know. It is not ownership, but symbiosis, two lives intertwined so deeply they have become one. The ants' survival is tied to their gardens, and the gardens thrive only because of their caretakers. In this, they remind us that true farming is not control over nature, but cooperation with it. The scale of their farming is astonishing. Some colonies can maintain gardens that span hundreds of chambers, feeding millions of ants. Leaf cutters may defoliate entire trees in a day, yet they do not destroy forests. They recycle, they renew, they sustain. Their farming, unlike ours, leaves no scars, only balance. They take, but they also give back, turning leaves into soil, enriching the earth, ensuring the cycle of growth continues. They are farmers not of greed, but of necessity and harmony. And so when you see leafcutter ants carrying fragments of green across the forest floor, picture them not as thieves of leaves, but as farmers carrying seeds of survival. They remind us that farming is not invention, but partnership, a dialogue between species, a rhythm of life repeated for millions of years beneath the soil, where gardens bloom unseen in darkness. Shepherds who guard tiny insects. In some colonies, ants are not just farmers, they are shepherds. They protect tiny creatures called aphids, which feed on plant sap. In return, the aphids produce a sweet liquid called honeydew, which the ants drink like nectar. The ants guard them fiercely, moving them to new plants, protecting them from predators, even carrying them into the nest during storms. To watch it is to see something strangely familiar. Ants tending herds as humans tend sheep, guiding, defending, and harvesting the rewards of patient care in a partnership that blurs the line between wild and domestic. The aphids depend on the ants as much as the ants depend on them. Without protection, they would be eaten quickly by ladybugs and other predators. With ants standing guard, they flourish, feeding, producing honeydew for their caretakers. Ants stroke them gently with their antennae, stimulating the flow of the sweet liquid. It looks like affection, though it is instinct. Yet the bond is undeniable, one species feeding another, both benefiting, both surviving, in a balance delicate yet enduring. It is farming of a different kind, farming of living animals rather than crops. Ants even move their herds when plants weaken. They carry aphids to fresh stems, ensuring constant food. During winter, some species bring them underground, keeping them safe until spring. It is as though ants have discovered livestock care long before humans built pastures. They organize, they protect, they guide. The relationship is so intricate that scientists call it domestication, a rare partnership in the insect world that mirrors our own history with cattle, goats, and sheep. Of course, there are risks. Too many aphids can harm plants, draining them dry. In this way, ants can become both guardians and destroyers, depending on balance. Yet the ants do not think in such terms. They live in the rhythm of necessity, of survival. Their herds feed them, so they tend them. It is a reminder that relationships in nature are never simple, always layered with both creation and destruction, both care and cost. And so when you see ants clustered on a plant stem, look closer. They may not be feeding directly, but tending their herds, guarding tiny aphids as carefully as a shepherd guards sheep. It is another hidden world, one of partnerships invisible to most eyes, yet shaping the survival of both species. Ants, once again, reveal that even in miniature lives, echoes of our own stories can be found. Harvesters who collect seeds with patience. In dry grasslands, some ants have chosen a different path. They are harvesters, collectors of seeds. Day after day, they gather grains fallen from plants, carrying them into their nests. There, they store them in special chambers, dry and safe, forming granaries. These seeds may last months, sustaining the colony through drought and scarcity. Unlike scavengers, harvesters think ahead. They do not simply feed on what they find. They prepare, they store, they plan. Their patience turns chance into certainty, their granaries into lifelines hidden beneath the earth. The process is endless. Workers roam far, searching for fallen seeds, sometimes stripping entire patches of ground. Each grain is carried carefully, treasured not just as food, but as survival. Inside the nest, seeds are sorted, dried, protected. Some chambers are ventilated to prevent mold, some guarded closely. In this way, the ants become not just collectors, but preservers, keeping their harvest safe from time, from decay. Their discipline transforms them from mere foragers into something closer to gatherers of knowledge, protectors of the future. Harvesters even adapt their methods. Some crack open seeds to prevent sprouting underground. Others carry different types of grains, ensuring variety. Some species even chew seeds into meal, storing them as ready food. It is an agricultural rhythm, not of planting but of preserving. The colony survives because it refuses to depend on chance. Instead, it creates security through endless patience, through countless small journeys made by tireless workers, carrying fragments of the earth's abundance back home. What is astonishing is how their behavior affects the land. By moving seeds, harvesters also spread plants, unintentionally shaping ecosystems. Some seeds germinate better after being carried, their coating softened, their distance increased. In this way, ants become gardeners of the earth, scattering life as they collect, balancing their own survival with the renewal of the land. Their small bodies, unseen, shape entire landscapes through patient harvests repeated year after year. And so harvesters remind us that survival is not just about taking, but about preparing. Their granaries are proof that patience can outlast scarcity, that foresight can outlive drought. Each seed they carry is both a meal and a promise, a reminder that even the smallest lives can practice something resembling wisdom, gathering, saving, planning, not for one, but for the many who share the nest. Hunters who move as one mind. Some ants are not farmers, not shepherds, not harvesters. They are hunters. Army ants, for instance, do not build permanent nests. They live on the move, forming living bivouacs from their own bodies at night, then marching by day. When they hunt, they move as a single mind, spreading in vast swarms across the forest floor. No prey is too large when thousands attack together. Their coordination is frightening, but it is also awe-inspiring. Each ant is blind to the whole, yet the collective acts with perfect unity, turning chaos into harmony through sheer instinct. Their hunts are rivers of life in motion. Streams of ants flow through leaf litter, climbing trees, swarming over branches. Anything that cannot escape is overwhelmed. Yet they do not waste. Every piece of prey is carried back, shared, fed to the young, turned into strength for the colony. Unlike solitary hunters, ants succeed because they rely on one another. Each ant alone is weak. Together they are a storm, silent, tireless, unstoppable. This cooperation transforms fragility into dominance, showing how even the smallest beings can conquer giants by moving as one. Their strategy is not reckless. Scouts move ahead, laying scent trails that guide the swarm. Soldiers form barriers, protecting the workers carrying food. Workers dismantle prey with astonishing speed, piece by piece, until it vanishes into their collective body. And all of this happens without orders, without commands, just countless tiny instincts weaving together into one grand choreography. The colony does not think in words, but in actions multiplied by thousands. Their mind is the swarm itself, larger than any individual could ever be. To watch them is to see nature's discipline at its sharpest. No selfishness, no hesitation, no waste. Every ant is part of the whole, every action reinforcing another. The sight of ants hunting reminds us that power does not always belong to the biggest, the strongest, or the loudest. Sometimes it belongs to those who move with unity, who surrender individuality for the strength of the many. It is a strange paradox. By giving up independence, the ants achieve something greater than independence could ever offer. And so hunters who move as one mind show us a different kind of intelligence, not the intelligence of a single brain, but of many small lives woven together into something vast, purposeful and precise. It is a reminder that unity, even among the tiniest, can shape worlds, conquer challenges, and leave marks on the earth that last for ages. Swarm intelligence without a leader. What makes ants extraordinary is not their strength, but their unity. Unlike humans, they have no leaders giving commands, no generals directing armies. Their intelligence emerges from interaction. Each ant follows simple rules: leave a trail, follow a scent, touch antennae, respond to signals. From these fragments arises swarm intelligence, decisions made by the collective, outcomes that seem planned, yet are not. Ants do not need a leader because the colony itself is the leader, the wisdom carried in countless tiny choices that merge into harmony. Scientists have studied this with fascination. Place food near ants, and within minutes a perfect trail forms. Block the trail and instantly new routes emerge, optimized without hesitation. No one ant understands the whole, yet the colony adapts as though it does. It is decision-making without hierarchy, efficiency without authority. Humans build governments, organizations, armies to achieve coordination. Ants achieve it simply by trusting signals, by letting small acts add up. In their simplicity lies a power that even our most advanced systems struggle to replicate. This intelligence is resilient. If many ants are lost, the colony continues. If trails are destroyed, they are rebuilt. If workers fail, others take over. There is no single point of failure, no dependency on one figure. The colony is immortal, so long as it keeps moving, keeps communicating, keeps acting as one. This resilience comes not from planning, but from adaptability, from letting the group decide through action rather than command. It is a wisdom we can glimpse, but rarely practice ourselves. Swarm intelligence extends even beyond survival. Ants choose nest sites collectively, exploring multiple options, then converging on the best one without debate. They distribute labor naturally, some forage, some guard, some care for young, not by being told, but by sensing need. Their world is built on trust in signals too subtle for us to notice. It is not chaos, though it may look like it. It is order born of countless small agreements, silent yet binding. It is proof that intelligence does not need a single voice to exist. And so swarm intelligence without a leader is perhaps the most humbling truth ants reveal. That a world can function, thrive, and endure without central control, without ego, without command. It is a reminder that wisdom can emerge not from the top, but from the bottom, from small, repeated acts of trust, connection, and cooperation, woven into a pattern far larger than any individual life. Rivers crossed with living bridges. When ants meet a gap too wide to cross, they do not stop. They become the bridge. Workers cling to one another, locking jaws and legs, forming chains that stretch across the void. Others walk over their bodies, carrying food, carrying young, carrying the colony's lifeline forward. These bridges may last minutes or hours, flexing with the flow of ants. Then, when the passage is no longer needed, the bridge dissolves, each ant walking away, returning to its tasks as if nothing had happened. It is cooperation, not in theory, but in living, breathing reality. These living bridges are feats of instinctive engineering. Ants adjust their positions, strengthening weak points, redistributing weight. The structure is alive, constantly shifting, responding to the flow of traffic. If too many climb at once, the bridge thickens. If the path is light, the bridge thins. No one plans this. It emerges naturally as ants respond to touch, to pressure, to need. It is a system without design, yet more adaptive than many of our machines. It is nature's architecture, shaped not of stone or steel, but of trust between countless small bodies. What makes it more remarkable is the sacrifice. The ants forming the bridge cannot forage, cannot move, cannot eat while they hold their positions. They give their bodies for others to pass, knowing the colony moves forward because of their stillness. And when the bridge dissolves, they continue as if nothing had happened, no glory, no recognition, just the memory of having been a part of something greater, a piece of a structure that existed only because many chose to give themselves to it. Some bridges span streams, some cross gaps in trees, some link one branch to another high in the canopy. To us, they are small, centimeters at most, but to ants, they are monumental, life-saving, civilization-building. A single bridge can mean access to food, safety, survival. Without it, the colony might falter. With it, life flows uninterrupted. The sight of ants walking over other ants is humbling, reminding us that cooperation is not always about equal effort. It is sometimes about surrender, about becoming the path others need. And so, rivers crossed with living bridges remind us of something profound. That sometimes strength lies not in moving forward, but in holding still. That sometimes the greatest gift is to become a foundation others can walk upon. In silence, in stillness, ants teach us that even the smallest lives can form monuments of unity, dissolving when no longer needed, leaving only the memory of their devotion behind. Rafts made of bodies that never sink. When floods rise, when rain drowns the soil, some ants do not perish, they float. By clinging to one another, they form living rafts, thousands of bodies linked into a structure that can drift for weeks. The queen is placed in the center, safe, the young tucked into dry pockets, while workers lock together on the outside, their bodies forming the walls, their sacrifice keeping the colony alive. These rafts never sink. They bend, they rise, they endure until land is found. It is survival not through strength, but through unity, through lives woven into a boat. The raft is waterproof, each ant's body repelling water, combining into a surface that floats. They rotate, ensuring those on the bottom eventually rise to breathe. No one ant could survive the flood, but together they become unsinkable. Scientists have tested these rafts in laboratories, submerging them for weeks, and still they endure. The ants never give up, never scatter. Their bond is too strong, their need too shared. It is not one ant against the water, it is the colony against the flood. And the colony does not break. Within the raft, order remains. The queen rests in safety, the brood held dry. Workers shift constantly, reinforcing weak spots, repairing leaks, carrying food, if any is found. The raft is not just survival, it is a moving home, a living nest floating across rivers, lakes, even oceans. Some colonies drift for days, landing on new shores, beginning new lives. In this way, floods do not end them, they spread them, carrying them to places they never would have reached otherwise. Disaster becomes opportunity through their unity. For humans, floods bring fear, destruction, despair. For ants, they bring challenge, and instead of panic, they bring cooperation. Each ant surrenders individuality to become part of a whole greater than itself. There is no hesitation, no refusal. The raft is formed because it must be, and because together they know they can endure. It is not choice, it is instinct. But instinct that reveals a profound truth. Survival is strongest when shared, when carried not by one, but by many woven into one body. And so rafts made of bodies remind us that even in the greatest floods, even in the harshest storms, life finds ways to endure. The ants float, they wait, they persist, they carry their future with them. They never sink because they never face the water alone. In their unity lies immortality, a truth hidden in the smallest lives that ripple across rivers unseen by us. Underground highways hidden below our feet. Beneath the soil, ants move along networks we rarely imagine. Their tunnels are not random burrows, but highways. Wide passages lead to the surface, narrow trails branch deeper, junctions form where chambers meet. These highways allow food to flow, workers to move, young to be carried, soldiers to deploy. They are designed not by thought, but by instinct, yet their efficiency rivals our own roads and railways. Beneath our gardens, beneath our sidewalks, a silent city pulses, its highways humming with life we cannot see. The scale of these networks is astonishing. Some nests stretch meters underground, with highways spanning dozens of chambers, leading to exits scattered across the ground. Each exit connects to surface trails, extending the colony's reach across forests and fields. The highways beneath are kept clear, smoothed by constant movement, widened as traffic increases. They are maintained with discipline, repaired when damaged, expanded when needed. No engineer directs this. It is the colony itself, shaping pathways through endless repetition, turning Earth into roads of survival. Traffic on these highways flows without chaos. Ants follow scent trails, adjusting to avoid collisions. Those carrying food move smoothly. Those returning adjust their paths. Those guarding stay at junctions. Even in darkness, the colony remains orderly, as if guided by invisible lights. The highways never jam, never stall. They function because each ant respects the signals, trusts the system, gives way when needed. It is a cooperation that needs no rules, only instinct, instinct so finely tuned that it feels like design. These highways also connect colonies to the greater world. Foragers leave, explore, return, and their journeys extend the reach of the nest far beyond its chambers. Through these networks, seeds are spread, soil is aerated, ecosystems renewed. They are not just roads for ants, they are roads for life, shaping landscapes in ways we do not see. Each tunnel is a vein of the earth, carrying not blood but movement, feeding the roots of survival, sustaining rhythms that ripple far beyond the nest itself. And so the underground highways remind us that worlds exist beneath our feet, unseen but alive. While we walk above, ants move in silence below, carrying food, carrying young, building futures in darkness. Their highways are proof that life thrives not just in the light, but in hidden places where order emerges from instinct and survival flows like traffic through roads no human has ever paved.